Welcome back to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jeremy Lapidus. If you are just tuning in, we just finished talking about Dan Hurley rejecting the Lakers' offer to make him the fifth highest paid head coach in the NBA, a $70 million contract over 6 years. He declines. It would have doubled his salary over UConn, but he decides to stay at the collegiate level, coaching the UConn Huskies, going for the first ever threepeat in men's college basketball history. I think that was the right decision. You can hear more about that in the first segment if you want to go back and listen to that. But in this segment, we're going to finish up our NBA coverage for the day, talk a little bit about the finals matchup that occurred last night. We had the Celtics taking on the Mavericks in Game 2. The Celtics win this game, even though they struggled. And we'll talk all about all of that and more in just one second. But before we do, remember that if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Leave a tip or donation with a message in it. That message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all, I appreciate you leaving that in the comments. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. But yeah, on this beautiful Monday afternoon, we are going to continue our NBA coverage here. Celtics take Game 2, and their bread and butter, their Achilles heel, whatever you want to call it, everything that the Celtics have done has relied on three-point shooting. That's just who they are as a team. It's how they've been since Joe Mazzulla took over a couple years ago after that finals run, and it's worked out very well. They have a great shooting team, but it's also been their weakness, right? In both of the Game 2s that they've lost, in round 1 and in round 2, they shot atrocious. And they did it again. They missed 29 threes. They were 10 for 39 from three-point land in this game, and they were still able to come out with a win. This is the kind of performance that if you are the Mavericks, this is a gift. This is the one that you needed to win, because the Celtics don't have their off shooting nights all the time. And when you do, you need to capitalize, because if they are not having an off shooting night, it makes it 10 times harder to beat them. And the Mavericks were unable to do that. Luka did everything he could. He had 23 in the first half. He ends up with a 30-point triple-double. Kyrie Irving is not been able to break this defense. And I think that's been the big thing, their defense on Kyrie Irving. And the role players for the Mavericks are what they are, right? You don't expect them to go off. You don't look at PJ Washington and say, I needed you to drop 30 points. No, you don't need that. You need Kyrie to play better. And he has not been playing his best. He's supposed to be this great sidekick, right? This tremendous second option, and usually he is. He was in that entire Minnesota series. He was able to go up against one of the best defenses in the league and kind of cook them. But the Celtics have been drawing a lot more attention to Kyrie Irving. They're saying, hey, Luka, you know what? You can beat us. We can't do anything to stop you. But if anybody else beats us, that's a problem. And they've been focusing a lot more on Kyrie Irving. One-on-one versus Luka, giving him some trouble. I mean, he drops 32, 11, and 11. There's not really any trouble there. But Kyrie is really the big story in this game, right? The Celtics shoot poorly. They shoot dreadfully. This might have been their worst shooting night of the entire postseason. And they're still able to come out with a win, and you can credit that to them. You can give their defense credit. You can give a lot of people credit for what they've done. Drew Holiday had a great game. Jason Tatum, although he didn't fill up the stat sheet and he wasn't efficient again, he had a solid game defensively. Derek White and Jaylen Brown combined on a block that I think PJ Washington more like missed a dunk there at the end to kind of seal the game. That basket would have made it a 1-2 possession game, but they were able to stop that and keep the momentum going. The series heads back to Dallas now, and I'm very interested to see what exactly is going to happen, right? Because there is two ways that this can go. The Dallas Mavericks are a team that, with the offensive firepower they have, with that 1-2 punch of Luka and Kyrie, theoretically they can beat anybody, right? And that's what's powered them to this moment. Their defense, their interior defense, and their 1-2 offensive punch, right? Kyrie needs to have a big game back in Dallas. And if he doesn't, and even if he does, there's a chance that the Celtics shoot well and blow them out, right? Kyrie didn't play well in game one, but that's kind of what happened in game one. Uh, Overall, the Celtics are just a better team. It's kind of a very interesting thought. You have the best player versus the best team. And in a lot of these situations, as we're seeing, one player isn't enough to beat a whole team that is just great offensively, defensively, 3-point shoot. Really, every aspect of basketball, the Celtics are great at, and that is the kind of team that is so dangerous, and that's why they were so good, so dominant heading into this season, heading into this series. People didn't give them enough credit, and I think that's because they're the Celtics, right? Everybody hates the Celtics. Unless you're from Boston, people hate the Celtics. People don't like the Celtics. People don't like Boston teams. And I think that clouded a lot of people's judgment. I think they were trying to, hope that the Celtics don't win because this Celtics team is so, so good. It's one of the best teams that I have personally ever seen. They go 5 deep on their starters, 6, maybe 7 onto their bench, if you want to count some of those role players that are killing it for them right now. It's a very scary thought that this team could be better. Kristaps Porzingis still isn't 100%. He's working his way back in there, but he still is not 100%. This team is gonna be this team might sweep them, right? They go to Dallas, and Dallas might have a little fight in them. They might win this first game, and that seems like the way that this goes, right? Dallas comes back with a little fight, but the way that the Celtics are playing, I don't think Dallas is going to beat them. I think this series might be a sweep, and I mean, that's just sometimes how it goes. Sometimes there's just a better team, and that better team just outperforms you. Any given night, Luke can beat you. Any given night, Kyrie can beat you. But the Dallas Mavericks need Kyrie Irving to play better than he has been playing. They need Kyrie Irving to be that player that we all know he can be. They need Kyrie Irving to put up at least 20 points. I'm not asking for a 50-point game. No one's asking for a 50-point game out of Kyrie, but they just need efficiency. They need him to not turn the ball over, and they need him to put up a little bit offensively so that Luka doesn't have to be the whole offense. Because you saw it in the second half. He put up basically half as many points as he did in the first, and he was kind of forcing shots because he felt like he had to force shots down the stretch. Not really what you want to do. You need him to trust his teammates. That's when the offense for the Mavericks is going great, he can lean on Kyrie as an option. He doesn't have to, and he will. He'll put up 30 points a game on you no matter what, but he doesn't feel like it's not like he has to do it. So we'll see what happens. My money's on the Celtics to actually sweep this series. I don't know if Dallas can win a game in this series the way that Boston is playing. Now, Boston could have another poor shooting night, but in every other series, they've bounced back from their poor shooting nights and haven't had another one. They've only had one in each series, and it's up to the other team to capitalize or not. Boston has yet to lose a game on the road. Boston has just been elite in these playoffs, and I don't really see it ending here. But anyway, in our next segment, we are going to move out of the world of basketball. We are going to move into some football talk. Mike Tomlin, this is a big coaching show today. Mike Tomlin gets extended 3 years. He was on the hot seat, but now he gets extended. Talk about some reactions, talk about Mike Tomlin, but that is coming up next here on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network.